老天爷啊！
On November 1st, 2021, the Chinese Ministry of Commerce issued a notice urging local governments to stabilize food prices and ensure the supply of vegetables and other essential goods this winter and next spring. The notice also encourages households to store essential goods based on their daily needs and for unexpected situations. The move sparked all sorts of worries online, with comments linking it to the spread of COVID in China, the expected onslaught of a cold snap, and even tensions in the Taiwan Strait. As of November 2nd, the ministry's notice had been read more than 17 million times and discussed by more than 5,000 people on China's social media platform, Weibo. Some comments have speculated that it must be related to the planned attack on Taiwan. On November 2nd, many military vehicles and transporters suddenly appeared on the streets, moving tanks and other equipment. The atmosphere was eerie, as it was the opposite of their usually secretive style. These transporters weren't even covered with canvas. Rather, they seemed to be making a big show of their presence, as if they were deliberately trying to create a war atmosphere. On November 1st, 10,000 citizens in a northern city received a free civil air defense emergency kit from the government. After the news spread, many Chinese wondered, is this to prepare for war?
防水火柴，手套衣服，口罩，战备医疗箱，小锯子，多功能螺丝刀，钢丝绳，口哨。 刀片工具刀，指南针，手摇式发电手电筒加收音机，绳索，蜡烛。
A series of articles were then published in various media outlets, saying that people shouldn't read too much into it or feel anxious, as the notice from the Ministry of Commerce was mainly for the prevention and control of the outbreak. In addition, the number of views and discussions on the topic on Weibo has been manually adjusted and reduced. It hasn't stopped people from panicking though. They have flocked to supermarkets to buy extra cooking oil and rice. Long lines are forming at vegetable stalls in supermarkets in some cities as people buy bulk vegetables that are easy to store during the winter. China's city police also seem to be working extra hard. Look, the city police took away a truckload of mangoes from a vendor. Have they swung into action in response to the call to stock up as well? In rural villages, concerned residents have set up loudspeakers to relay the government notices to fellow villagers and offer their own interpretations at the same time. I don't know if you got it. It means that we should stock up more food and daily necessities. Don't do the same as before when you buy rice. You buy 5 kadi or 2.5 kilograms at a time. Or you buy soybean oil 1 kilogram at a time. Or buy cabbage 1 at a time. When the emergency comes, if things get shut down, you will be stuck. You will have nothing at home.
再往严重的说，到时候
Even if you are allowed to go out, you may not be able to buy anything. I'm not scaring you. If you watch the news often, you will know it for sure. It seems something is about to happen. The more extraordinary times, the more we must follow the state orders.
咱们农村呐有菜窖。
We have cellars in the countryside, turnips, cabbage, potatoes, etc. You should stock up. After having stocked up for yourself, stock up some more for your relatives and friends in the city. Don't take my words as a deaf ear.
赶紧行动起来啊！
In comparison, people living in Beijing seem to be more relaxed. Under China's strict household registration system, living in the capital of China, people with Beijing residents feel a sense of superiority.
这你北京你都要
If in Beijing you find yourself needing to stockpile food, then it's like, we're all going to go starve or something, right? In Beijing, you don't need to stockpile food. It's like in the US. If you live in the suburbs or somewhere far away from urban areas, then maybe you could stockpile a little. But if you're in New York or DC and you say you're going to stockpile food, then, well, it's meaningless. After stockpiling for a couple days, shortages will be replenished. There's no need to stockpile.
不了2天，不用囤。
听说了那个
I heard about it. If you buy too many vegetables, they'll get rotten, right? Also, now when it comes to grains, like rice and flour, you only need to buy what you'll actually eat. In Beijing, the capital, there won't be any problems.
你的，是吧？
OK，就你有去囤一些菜吗？这些
没必要啊，菜也不好放嘛，就是日常吃的就够了。
The price of vegetables in China is currently soaring, more expensive than meat in some cases. It's worrisome to the average Chinese. In some cities such as Tianjin and Wuhan, the government has released stocked winter vegetables to be sold at lower prices in supermarkets. But overall, vegetables are still considered prohibitively expensive. It started to rise before October 1st, then increased at a faster pace, and prices have been rising without any break. A woman in Beijing told overseas Chinese media that except for grains and wages, which haven't doubled, everything else that grows has doubled in price, including dried fruits. She added that when even tofu doubles, everything else triples in price. Vegetables are generally shipped from the south as northern China has no vegetables during this season.
"看我他妈现在啥世道啊！买他妈7捆大葱花350啊！人说你赶紧买吧，过段还得涨。"
The Chinese government has attributed the rising costs to the extreme weather that has affected vegetable production and transportation. China is set to experience another cold snap soon, with temperatures expected to drop by up to 15 degrees Celsius in some areas. Vegetable prices usually rise when temperatures drop and supply can't catch up with the increased demand leading up to the Chinese New Year. China's National Meteorological Center predicts that temperatures will drop over the weekend in the northwest, southwest, and most of east-central China. Earlier, China's northeastern and northwestern regions have already been hit by several cold snaps. Ms. Wang from Beijing believes that another major reason for the price hike is that long-haul truck drivers have been fined so heavily lately. She said she had seen news reports that some local public sectors were unable to make payroll and relied almost exclusively on traffic police to aggressively collect fines to pay civil servants. There are so many barriers on the way from southern China to Beijing, not only tolls, but also fines, plus the cost of food and drink, gas money, and parking fees. All these costs are added to the retail products, thus the food price goes up.
你这真的不骗破了，说这公园这个店。
跟他说了，
An economist from mainland China said that since vegetables are mainly grown in greenhouses in the north, which are dependent on electricity and consume considerable amounts of power, the current massive power shortages in China has a direct impact on its production. China's Tencent.com quoted the industry's analysis. It said, the summer vegetable market is basically over and there is less supply in the fall and winter generally. Coupled with rapid cooling and rains, plus floods, have reduced production in some areas. The supply to the market is inadequate, leading to a significant increase in vegetable prices.
啥都没有了，完了，水位还在往上涨，已经快到大地上了。
Moreover, since the beginning of the year, the price of seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, etc. have risen, and oil prices continue to climb, driving up transport costs and so on, which has also contributed to high vegetable prices.
太贵了，那贵也没办法啊，不吃菜哪行啊？
只是因为当前这个台海局势。
It's just that the current tension in the Taiwan Strait and the pandemic are both happening right now. This is generating even more attention among people because the situation in the Taiwan Strait is an issue of global concern. The main thing is that COVID-19 is still affecting more people. It still has a relatively big influence on people. There is uncertainty about the occurrence of COVID-19 outbreaks. It might not happen, but once an outbreak occurs, the people's livelihoods will definitely be affected. That's why people are stocking up on winter supplies to avoid the impact of COVID-19 so that they don't panic so much. So I think this is the main reason behind the government's notice.
所以我觉得这是最主要的原因。
On November 3rd, China reported its highest number of locally contracted COVID-19 cases in nearly 3 months, including 9 cases in Beijing, the largest single-day increase in Beijing in 2021. China's current wave of the outbreak has spread to more than half of the provinces, triggering a new round of embargoes and travel restrictions. This is a result of the Chinese government's practice of closing off entire communities where COVID-19 cases have emerged and restricting the flow of people and vehicles in affected cities or regions. The situation in China is likely much more severe than the numbers the government has publicly presented to the world. Please stay tuned to our channel as we'll be reporting on the progress of the current outbreak in China in future episodes. So, will the Xi Jinping administration invade Taiwan by force in the near future? There are currently 2 voices in general. One believes that Xi's administration is accelerating the pace of bringing China to a state of war so he can deal with the impending war in the Taiwan Strait. The other argues that it's a propaganda war between the 2 major factions within the Chinese Communist Party, with former party leader Jiang Zemin and his ally Zheng Qinghong as the antagonists of Xi. At present, several Chinese media outlets inside and outside of China, which are constantly spreading theories about the CCP's invasion of Taiwan, happen to be controlled by Jiang's faction. For example, on October 26th, this media published an article titled, "Even if the US really dares to intervene, China can solve the Taiwan issue." And on October 28th, it again ran an article titled, "Washington frequently plays the Taiwan card, helping Beijing make up its mind to unify the 2 sides of the Taiwan Strait." On the Taiwan issue, Xi has made 2 statements lately. First, on October 5th, US President Joe Biden announced that he had spoken with Xi on Taiwan and that the 2 had agreed to abide by the Taiwan Agreement. After that, there was a significant reduction in the number of Chinese warplanes disturbing Taiwan. Second, on October 9th, in a meeting commemorating the 110th anniversary of the Xinhai Revolution, which ended China's last imperial dynasty, Xi insisted on peaceful reunification in his speech. There was no talk of the use of force to achieve reunification. The 20th Communist Party Congress that will be held in fall 2022 is an important meeting. It will decide whether Xi will be re-elected and the power reshuffles at the top of the Communist Party. It's virtually the last chance for Jiang and Zheng to remove Xi from power. Therefore, this school of thought argues that plunging Xi into big trouble over Taiwan and getting him into a fight with the US and the world, Jiang and Zheng hope to replace Xi with one of their own eventually. It is probably their biggest wish at the moment. Jiang still retains a presence in China's military and government agencies, including control of many domestic and foreign media. As a result, we are seeing confusing and even contradictory policies and information from the CCP and the Chinese government. The Chinese people are probably the last to know about the internal struggles at the top of the CCP, which has always been kept a secret.